Hello and welcome to another episode of The Soul of Business with Blaine Bartlett. I am your host, Blaine Bartlett. This podcast, The Soul of Business, is oftentimes considered, to some people's minds when they first hear it, an oxymoron. You know, it's kind of like, do businesses have a soul? Well, if you look at crony capitalism, the answer to that probably would be no. But if you take a look at what Adam Smith intended when he wrote The Wealth of Nations, yeah, there is a soul involved in this. Now, where this gets to be interesting for me, and our guest today is going to be a fascinating conversation, or is going to bring a fascinating conversation to the table. I studied economics when I was at university, and it always struck me that economics was the study of scarcity. And it was kind of like, why would I want to study scarcity outside of the utilitarian fact of I get to look at how resources get allocated and that kind of stuff? But the idea of scarcity as a mindset seemed to be almost a non-starter. And if we're looking through the lens of scarcity, all of a sudden we've got zero-sum games that start to be played, and and things start to go off the rail, and we start looking at how do I get mine at the expense of you, and all of those sorts of things come in, which is antithetical, I think, to the purpose of business. And for me, the purpose of business, and those of you that have listened to this show have heard me say this ad nauseum almost, the purpose of business is to create the possibility of thriving on the planet. That's the purpose of business. And if you're doing that well with your service or product, you're going to have a profit because people like to thrive. So fixating on profit isn't the game. Fixating on thriving. Yeah, how do I bring thriving to the consumer? How do I bring thriving to my suppliers? How do I bring thriving to my family? And that's where I want to go with our conversation today. Businesses are started oftentimes because we want to have our families, be supported. Got a roof over the head, we got food on the table, and then we start looking at generational wealth. How do we actually pass this on? My guest today, Mark Murphy, is probably in this country one of the quintessential experts on wealth management, wealth generation, and wealth transfers literally in the country. He's been ranked in the top 3 in the nation on the Forbes America Top Financial Security Professionals list. He's the CEO, and he's an author, speaker, motivator, podcast host. He's the CEO of Northeast Sequoia Private Client Group, which is a national financial planning and wealth management firm. Then they're doing some amazing stuff, just in terms of how they actually work with their clients to husband wealth and to have wealth be positioned to do good, ultimately. So, Mark, I want to welcome you to the show, and I want to thank you for taking time out of what I know is an incredibly busy schedule to sit and talk a little bit here.
I was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Blake.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well. And I wanted to start with a question here. When you hear the term the soul of business, what does that evoke for you?
If you put the picture of the books a lot of things. When I started this company 48 years ago, I thought we'd be successful. I thought we'd make money. Or at least I hoped we did. This was my vehicle to make other people's lives better. I really do myself, and I'm always at my best when I'm serving others. And I know, one of our mantras is that there's no right way to do the wrong thing. And so when I think about business, I don't think about business. I almost think of business and companies almost like I think about people, almost like they have a pulse. And the idea is that what I'd like to do at this point in my life is I'd like to have and impact the lives of at least 100 million people. And, I'm one person and you're one person, Blaine. it's pretty daunting to figure out how I could do that myself, or maybe how you could do it yourself. And so we built the business basically around collaborating with people who have bipolar mindset. You know, it's not how we do it, but who needs collaborating to be able to accomplish the things we want to do. And so when I do a whole business, to me is very, it's just the personal, and there's very little to do with business and everything to do with how you treat me.
I love that you landed on that last piece. It has very little to do with business and how you treat people more than anything else. Yeah, a long time ago. I mean, 37 years, with Sequoia. Yeah.
38.
Yeah. 38. Yeah. I founded my company, in 87. So we're coming up, 37 years, right around that neighborhood as well. And what has always stood out for me is that the business is nothing more than a collection of people that are in relationship. And if their relationships are working relatively well, they got a pretty good shot of being successful. And at first blush, it's kind of like, well, of course, because you think of the interpersonal relationships. But you go even deeper and you've got a relationship with vision, you got a relationship with values, you got a relationship with work process, all of those sorts of things. And in any business, you also have a relationship with money. And how that relationship actually gets leveraged, I guess would be the word I would use here, makes a difference in my experience. In the work that you do with your clients, this relational dynamic with money, how does, and I'm not saying that it does, but if it did, how would it actually come into play? How do you actually work with that?
Well, I think it starts with defining what success looks like. You want to what's important to you. And I think ultimately it's about a life by design. I think so many people run their life around the wrong things. I'd rather design a life that I want. And I think the role that money plays in it is, people say I have enough. Well, I'm trying to look people way to be so selfish, being rewarded for it, just not for themselves, no extra for anybody else. And I think that in creative abundance, what is the good thing to be doing with that money? The difference you can make for people when you have extra, you have abundance more than what you need. And so that's where the generosity becomes. I think, like everything else is contagious. I think, I could say something to you when you walk in the office and say something, it makes your day. And not only does it make your day, but and you make 20 other people's day, and then make 20 other people's day. So sometimes you come in and say something cruel or unkind, and that would ruin your day potentially. And also the same effect. I think it's like almost like money multiplier, and it's almost the amplifier of good thoughts or bad thoughts. And if you're thought of that, I feel what success looks like. And I think where money has it is, I think we judge success based on money oftentimes. But I also think that there's a whole lot of people that don't make millions or tens of millions of dollars a year. You think somebody that's a professor at prestigious university, or somebody that's in healthcare taking care of sick people, or or a federal judge. And federal judges don't make millions of dollars a year, but are they performing work that is purposeful and meaningful? And they take this in the lives of people, first responders that we've had for all the pandemics and tragedies we can. And I think ultimately, it is that this money is one of the barometers because it's a value of freedom. And it allows you to do things. But I think that if all you give yourself is by financial success and have low environment, I don't know if that's the way well lived.
The idea of designing a life. I did a webinar not too long ago with Phil Bennett and Jimmy Ferris, who was Super Bowl champion. He was on the Patriot team. Was one of their Super Bowl teams. And the title of the program was "Designing a Life That Designs You in Return." So there's a kind of that ontological reciprocity. Design a life that designs you in return. And the idea of mindset kind of came into the conversation when we were doing that webinar. And as far as I can tell, there's essentially 3 different mindsets around money. And this is kind of going back to the relational dynamic. There's not enough. There's just enough. or there's more than enough. And if I'm designing a life around any of those two former ones, not enough or just enough, there's a contractive energy in my experience. And the focus becomes on accumulation and holding on. If I operate off a mindset that says there's more than enough, there's a largesse that begins to experience, that I begin to experience. There's a freedom. And I was in a conversation with a very good friend of mine, a woman by the name of Lynn Twist. And Lynn wrote a book called The Soul of Money. She coaches a Nobel laureate, particularly women Nobel laureate winners. And she works on this notion of sufficiency. And part of that whole notion of sufficiency has to do with, do I have enough access to capital, access to money specifically, to do everything that I'd like to be doing in my life, including philanthropy, including, having it be something for the good of the good of humankind. So it's not just about paying my bills. There's something else that goes into play here. So, and there's a question embedded here, Mark. Honest, there is. When I'm transferring wealth generationally, and the first and second generations typically, excuse me, have worked in the business. I'm looking at family business. By the time I get to the third generation, fourth generation, we're getting, folks involved here that have not really been part of the business any longer. So now there's this scope creep, or this creep of entitlement that starts to come in. And the question of sufficiency, do I have enough for me, is part of that orientation, as opposed to, do we have enough here to do good? The second generation tends to be fairly philanthropic in my experience. They'll start foundations with the money. They'll do things that are organized around, giving back to society. By the time we get to third and fourth generations, that starts to pale a bit. In the work that you do with, the clients with whom you work, and you got a pretty high net worth group that you work with here. This is my experience, but what correlation do you see with how people husband money, and then as a consequence of husbanding it, begin to look at, how do we use this for the greater good?
I think with everything, I think it's all BS, like belief systems. It's all, and I think part of it is, I think that it's almost, when you're talking about people with extreme wealth, like you're discussing, or you people that are just kind of moving up the food chain and everything in between. I think that the temptation always is to say, hey, I didn't have much more enough, or I didn't have as much, so I want to give my kids more. Well, if my kids are going to run after I had. And also we rule a little bit there. Me, I personally thought we were private jet. We just have a small jet, but we have a big jet. It just gets more ostentatious and whatever. Having said that, I think that what we're doing is we're robbing children of the grittiness that it takes. And I think they think that ultimately, that when I ask parents what do they want for their kids, well, it's fun for them to inform me. I want them to be happy. And I've got 5 kids, Blaine, and I want my kids to be happy. I want them if they're, not mine. My job is to make them hardworking, thoughtful, respectful. They want him to stay at his service. Those are the things, the things we eat at. And I think ultimately that part of it is to define success, because not everybody's going to be in the business. Not everybody wants to be in the business. Sometimes the business that can hit. If I have that out of the family, anything, sometimes in good ways. And I think that the thing that I'm also worried about is, I find that the children of wealth to be among the most insecure people I ever met, because they're known as Mr. Blackheart. Hey, you go out with Blaine, and they up the tab all night. Dollar bottles of Dom Perignon all night, because Blaine's that Blackheart. And that's what you're known for, right? Maybe somebody smart or thoughtful, or somebody that's valued, and they're valued only around the money. And that's the slope where you start, using your name destructively or destroying the money. And so I think it's something to have the brain. It's probably the parable where they say, well, one of the things when a bird is bird is that hatch, it's getting out of the shell. It can make its wings strong enough that it can fly, and if they fall around a crack, they'll have to fly and they'll be hitting wide up predators. And I think we've done that to our children. I literally have thought about this a lot because it's harder to fly. I keep trying to correct any mistakes I made. We're trying to lead with why people raise them there my far thinking because unfortunately there's not a route to what's quite more ripple for high with powder. I just tried to do that like it being in or fourth part down the road. And I tried to get a very definitely pity. And I think it starts with a belief system of core beliefs, of how you teach people to think and use their thing. I think the number one thing that entrepreneurial thinker has to have is they have to protect their content. And I mean hubris, I don't mean arrogance. I mean you can't let people act how you think about yourself. Or open on with young people. I think that most people in this fail. They get down the holiday knocks in the blanket and crawl up under the covers, and you never hear from them again. Or I think you want people to have a belief system to say, hey, we either have success or money. And if I failed, it's just, I'm going to set publishing as success. It's just a better form of market research. Yeah. And if I didn't do these 6 or 7 things that failed, that I learned from, I wouldn't have done these other 2 things that were wildly successful. And you go on and on about the belief system you want to instill in people to give them the tools that regardless of whether they're a company or not, they've had the tools to be successful in life. And so that comes with just money and a black card. I think you've done, I think you're no better than somebody who's just killing an alcoholic just about it.
Speaking of tools, you've got a new book out, The Ultimate Investment, a roadmap to grow your business and build multi-generational wealth. Number one on its release at Amazon. It is a bestseller. And as a tool, I mean, you kind of opened that door here. Can you talk a little bit about what the roadmap is that you're talking about?
Well, I think one is we've created to try the next book. This one I'm actually working on as we speak about the trademark our pyramids for multi-generational wealth. But I think it's still built back to the entrepreneurial mindset. And, I think it starts with a few things like, first it starts with some very basic stuff that you don't blame, don't complain, no excuses. I mean,
heard about that in the book somewhere.
They're not that work, all they do is they see problems. And so one of the mindsets also is that you kind of learn, I believe, to take every problem you have to deal with. I'm saying they were all like rose-colored glasses or pretend it doesn't exist. We'll just keep coming back. But I see people really cycle. See every problem as an opportunity.
Yep.
They see that they give their mind they deal with that issue and their mind goes to what's great about that. As an example, like you just broken up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. And I'm not saying you should mourn the relationship partly. I don't know if that's a day or a week or 2 weeks or, I don't know. I'm not saying that if I feel it's mourn the loss of the relationship. But if you're finding we should go to, what's great about that is, I've been so this relief. I haven't had a lot of time to do the things I wanted to do or do as a friends. Or maybe not being with this person now, usually didn't kind of find the right person who wants to be with me. And so instead of focusing on learning just what the relationship is, going to couple range, okay? But there's a moment and the emotion or something that's productive. And I could go on and on, but I think anything that you can do to help people be able to take accountability or feel the actual control in their life of what they control. If I have an empowered individual, meaning I say that even me, one of the things that keep out our country right now was teach people how to be victims. And you can't be empowered and a victim at the same time. So when somebody comes to me as a victim, which do you want to be? Should I address you blame as a victim, or should I address you as someone who's an empowered, privileged human being that's talking about?
Yeah, I would prefer the latter, quite frankly, but
Yeah. I actually started to think you might, I was my dots.
just wild stab in the dark here. The nature of life is evidenced in nature. Nature grows, and all of nature honors the desire to be more, to have more, and to do more. Life thrives when it's allowed to grow. And ideally, thriving is what we also, all of us, want to be able to do. Unfortunately, at some stage in life, most people find themselves settling into what I can only call a rut. And a rut is nothing more than a coffin with the ends kicked out. You want to quickly get out of any rut that you find yourself in. When you stop growing, that's when the coffin starts to appear. The simple truth is this, and this is true for everything in nature. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Every one of us dies. So the question we need to come to grips with is not, are we going to die? The question nature asks us to answer is, are we truly living? That's what motivation is about. It's the desire to move. It's the desire to grow and to excel. Have I lived? How have I lived? I'd love for you to take advantage of my Leadership Mindset Masterclass. It's all about providing you with the tools to ensure thriving for yourself and for those around you. Register today to receive the free introduction video and find out more about this acclaimed program. You'll also receive a copy of my international #1 bestseller, Compassionate Capitalism, A Journey to the Soul of Business. I'm Blaine Bartlett, and I look forward to helping you thrive. Question of, I studied Stoic philosophy for years, and Marcus Aurelius, the obstacle becomes the way. I wouldn't encounter a problem unless I was on the path to wherever it was that I said I wanted to go. That problem is part of the path. And I was talking to somebody the other day about linguistics, just kind of how I describe something determines how I experience it, which generates behavior. So that description process. And we were exploring just the nature of problem. And he said, what emerged out of that was, it's not a problem, it's a project. And that little shift, relabeling it, all of a sudden I now have a project to work with. I don't have a problem that's stopping me. I've got a project that is part and parcel of this journey towards this goal, this worthy ideal that I said I wanted to achieve in my life. That is a very empowering way to experience life, I think. And again, there is a, I'll get on my soapbox here. You're triggering some things here, Mark. I just love to talk, and I like to hear my own voice, but bear with me on this. Okay. The idea of the ultimate investment, which was the main title of the book. I know there's a roadmap embedded in that, but in the time that we have here, what is that ultimate investment that you're speaking of in the book?
Well, I could put that in a pyramid, but I would say that in a nutshell is the best investment an entrepreneurial thinker has is letting them invent themselves. Ultimately, as an entrepreneur, laying RBCDs, IRAs, 401ks, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, blah, blah, blah. Most of our clients will store all those assets. Well, I store all of them as to go right. What is that for inflation to get to holy eggs? True wealth is created in one of 3 areas. It's investing in your business or operating company, or in yourself if you don't know the business. What's the training, what's the network you're going to do, what technology you're going to master, get into the next level if you were on a visit, if you're a car. The investing in real estate, it's financing deals, only know for worse than errors. That's how it's found. And so instead of having that idea that had, I think, very clearly, it certainly manages billions of dollars. There's dozens of asset classes playing. Left our purpose stage is all 2. And we call them expenses or nuts. And if you're an expense, you're always on a shopping block. If you're a nuts, but always you got 4 or 5 to 1 retiring or more, I could be trying to bone it out type for investment. And so the idea that ultimately what's going to make those moves to help you to get where you want to go. And I think that what our role is as a key business strategist or critical thinker or financial advisor is bringing us to where they are today. But I think when you start to get aspirational to become what your real role is to see that they can highlight focus. And to believe in it so viscerally that they believe in themselves. Not understanding when I have a way that's not organic. The thing you should say where you can help them show what's possible. It's all about belief. Everything about life is instant belief. It's all about confidence. And everything around you has to be around that confidence. And get confidence about being humorous. Confidence about being arrogant. About being anything. Confidence is just, confidence is humility as far as confidence. All over confidence is the way to go.
I love that. Mark, I know you got a flight to catch, so I want to be honoring that timeline here. Where can people find out more about what you're up to? I know that you do keynotes. I know that you're available to do different things. You've got a podcast. So
actually, to me, reach me at Mark _Murphy at murphyprivate.com or website murphyprivate.com, and it's in Roseland, New Jersey. There's a couple of real estate Northeast private on that us we're Roseland, New Jersey. Now we're happy to continue the conversation. And I just wanted to also appreciate you and appreciate the time you spent together. Hope this figured out at the beginning of a beautiful friendship between the two of us.
I'd like that very much. I would. Folks, Mark Murphy, CEO of okay, I just lost it. Northeast Sequoia Private Client Group. Yeah. All of this will go in the show notes. So the URL and everything else, the book title. And I want you to, folks, you pick up a copy of the book. I think that there's going to be some very interesting insights in there for you. I particularly resonate with, the belief system conversation that, it all starts with myself. Design a life that designs you in return. Most of us don't design our lives. We just take what we're given. And that's not a good way to live. Socrates said an unexamined life isn't worth living. Spend some time examining it. As we sign off here, as always, find a way in your life to be a center of distribution, not a center of accumulation. I think you'll find life works a whole lot better for you. Thanks for listening. And Mark, thank you so much. Enjoy your flight.
Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet.